Hey everyone, gorgeous day here on the Homestead in central Tennessee, right next to Kentucky Lake, Tennessee River. Today the task at hand is a little bit of lawn maintenance. So if you have checked in any videos before, you may know that we did sod last year in the backyard and we seeded last fall in the front yard and the side yards. Both projects are coming along decently now. The sod struggled because we basically did it in July, which we knew it was a hot time to do it, and we did not know that like 4 or 5 days after we did it, we were going to get 10 days straight of rain. So the sod was pretty distressed from extreme temperatures, extreme wet, and did not do as well as we had hoped. Another thing is I'm not sure, now that I see a lot of sod on the trucks and things like that, I'm not sure the sod that we received was appropriate. It may have been, but it was probably 8 to 10 inches long, 6 to 8 inches long, maybe 10, I don't know. And it was all just kind of looked like very tall grass, where most of the sod that I've seen is like 3 inches and really compact and tight. I'm not sure if that had anything to do with it, but I'm sure the extreme temperatures had a lot to do with it. So we had some bare spots in the sod, and it seemed to be it was certain sod, because there were certain patches of the sod that almost the entire section of sod pretty much died off or got distressed. Now, over the fall, it came back quite a bit, but we still got quite a few weeds peeking up through it this year, and some bare spots that we need to overseed at some point throughout the year this year. Probably we'll wait till the fall to overseed and just do weed control during the year this year. The front yard, the grass that we planted up there was all Kentucky bluegrass, where the sod was fescue. We decided to go with Kentucky bluegrass because we like the way that it looks, and it seems to self-repair, or they claim it self-repairs better than other types of grass. So let me take you up to the front yard and take a look there. All right, we're transitioning from the backyard, and then I'm walking through the side yard right now, which is the last to be planted. So it was planted late in the fall, I think in November timeframe, whereas our front grass was planted maybe 5-6 weeks earlier than that. And so our front yard's doing quite a bit better. But we still have some spots in the yard, which makes room for weeds to show up. So right now what we're doing today is we're going to do a little quick mow and a little bit of weed control. I'll go around first, get some of the main weeds out of here. I've got an app that is helpful called Picture This. You take a picture of the grass or the weed, and it'll tell you what that weed's about. It'll also give you tips on how to kill those weeds. So that's something that you might think about. What we've done now is we just try to go through and do, since it's new grass, we don't put really heavy weed and feed on it, but it's old enough now and established enough that we're doing pretty much the traditional spring weed and feed today. And we're gonna hope to get through a lot of these weeds. You see on the side yard, we've got a lot of weeds. So we need to do a lot of weed control on that right now. A couple things I've heard about controlling weeds. I'm not a lawn expert. One, you want to keep your grass cut low. Things like fescue and Kentucky bluegrass, 2.5, 3 inches is about all you want to cut. And everything says you only want to cut about 1/4 or 1/3 off of those. So you need to mow fairly often to keep it from getting too high. The other thing is a thick, lush lawn. Having a thick, lush lawn will keep those weeds choked out. So wherever you have bare spots, you're going to want to overseed, which we're going to do that at some point this year. Right now, we're just trying to control the weeds. I'm going to go get some of the bigger ones with this. Then I'll mow, and then I'll put down some weed and feed, which I'll show you what I'm using springtime on Kentucky bluegrass here in a moment. So these larger weeds like this, it's very handy to have a nice weed puller. Basically, you're just going to go around and dig out these weeds, and you want to go down 1 inch or 2 to get the roots, because some of them, if you leave the root 1 inch or so from the ground, it will repopulate. So you want to try to go down a couple inches before you pop up the root. Like so. And then that should be easier. I usually wear gloves just to keep from getting dirt all underneath my fingernails, and you can just pull that straight out of the ground. Gives you nice roots. Throw it to the side and let it dry out and put it in your compost or take it to a place where you want to dump it. And so that's what we'll do with the larger weeds. The smaller weeds we'll just cut down and apply the weed and feed control that we have to it today. This is our Anderson. It's called Barricade Herbicide 1804. This is a winter and spring time. Supposed to put that down in February, March, April timeframe. Then you can boost up the iron in the summertime, like a 3004 is what they call for bluegrass. So we're going to put that down. This will be our second application in 2024. We're going to put that down in the front, side, backyards, and maybe some over on the edges of the yards where we haven't even prepared grass yet. It's mainly just weeds over there, but we're getting a lot of dandelions coming in from the neighbors' yards. So one of the things about living in the country is, you know, you've got a lot of wild areas and you've got country neighbors, and not everybody has a lush lawn, and puts a lot of effort into their lawn, because your lawn will stay pretty much green with weeds out here in the Central Tennessee year round because of the climate. But if you want a lush lawn that'll kind of repel pests and things like that, keep critters out of your yard, keep insects down, if you have a lush lawn and you're putting good fertilizer down on your grass to keep the weeds from coming. And that's what we prefer, but it's kind of hard to keep that because you have weeds coming from everywhere, from the uncared for areas, our 24 acres here that we don't care for. We've got all kinds of wild weeds and trees and grasses growing along there that constantly encroach upon the yard. And then coming across from neighbors' yards and the ditches that have lots of weeds in them as well. So it's a constant battle. We'll do our best. All right, still working on the lawn. We've got all the trimming done, mowed, trimmed all the weeds out by the road, along the driveway, along the house. There's also some areas that we're not growing grass, that we're getting some weeds growing up. So I'm going to mix up some herbicide to basically just get rid of those weeds so that we don't have them. Some next to the driveway. We're going to be expanding the driveway a little bit, so we got an area here where the grass stops. I'm going to kill all the weeds in there. And there's some out by the ditch that I'm going to kill as well with basically a brush killer type herbicide. I'll show you what that is here in a little bit. And then I've got a different type of grass for weed and feed that you can put down. These are granules. Now this herbicide that I'm putting down for the brush killer, you can also mix a little bit less, and the instructions tell you that, and you can actually do a broadcast spray for that. But I like using the granules for the broadcast, and then the liquid for just the weed kill. So I'll show you what those are in just a second. So this is what we're going to be using for the grass killer. And as I said, you can actually mix it different levels to do a broadcast. It has it all in the instructions here. It tells you how to use the product, what kind of sprayer to use, what kind of grass it'll kill. If you're doing brush control to kill vines, stump treatment, different mixes based on that type of what you're wanting to do with this. So again, we're going to go, I think, 5-to-1 on our mixture. And we're using a hand sprayer here. It tells you use for spot treatment or single weeds. You've got your hose end sprayer and your tank sprayer. If you want to use on annual grasses and weeds, meaning it's going to kill broadleaf weeds, but it's not going to harm the annual weeds and grasses. But if you want to kill everything for brush control and everything, you use this mixture here, which is 5 tablespoons instead of 3 tablespoons. So that's what we're going to be using, is 5 tablespoons. it covers up to 300 square feet. So you're going to want to pay attention to the footage that you're putting down, because if you mix it at this amount, 3 tablespoons, but you put that 3 tablespoons down in, say, 100 square feet, you're going to be over using the amount of ingredients for that spread, and it could kill everything in that area as well. So just pay very attention to the ingredients of all of these weed killers and weed and feeds, making sure that you've got your measured amount out, so that you don't do more harm.
I sprayed that weed killer a few weeks ago, and maybe about 6 weeks ago, here at the front of the house, right? So you see how well it worked. Basically killed all the weeds where we're going to have landscaping. So we're going to put landscaping gravel in there, about like you may have seen over by the back of the house, back there where those bushes are, or by the pool. So I just put more of that weed killer down. I only had a little bit left to kill some of the weeds popping up in the driveway, along the edge of the driveway, and then out by the mailbox. There's a bunch of dandelions growing out there. So we'll see how that works now. I'm going to get ready to treat the front, side, and backyard with granules, but I'm going to wait for the sun to go down a little bit.